So this is going to be a different video than what I normally make. Oh my God, that sounds like I'm about to do like a freaking YouTube apology. I'm not, okay? Oh my gosh. I've been doing this new series on my channel recently revolving around art lessons that I'm trying to learn this month. I'm about halfway through it, and I was writing some notes for a weekly recap of what I've just learned, like in each of the weeks so far. But it made me think about why I had started this. I mentioned in week one that there were a bunch of videos that I wanted to make about either starting these new projects that I have in mind or providing updates about ones that I've already started, but felt like I just couldn't because my art like just wasn't where I wanted it to be yet. Obviously, I didn't let that completely stop me from making like any videos, hence, why this little mini art challenge was created for the month. And while I am proud that I found a creative way to make videos by forcing myself to document my learning process, I'm now finding myself wondering why I ever felt like it was necessary in the first place. Why couldn't I just start the projects? Because now here I am, 2 weeks into this learning thing, still feeling like, man, I wish I could have already been into the other projects I was thinking about. And to be honest, I just should have done it. I'm still gonna finish the series, like, don't get me wrong, but I'm constantly switching between projects, but I'm learning how to actually finish some. So, and for what it's worth, I did appreciate taking like a few weeks to start learning these skills, especially since like I just remembered they're on my list of like skills that I hope to master by the end of this year on my bingo gold card. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my focus on backgrounds and anatomy these past 2 weeks. And it's made some pieces that I've actually really liked, but I also really wanted to see just something done with these other projects. And if I'm being honest, I didn't need these 2 weeks to make the difference I was so sure I needed back in like the end of March. I've stressed in my last two videos that I was trying to be completely honest with myself on the areas I felt I needed to grow in, which is something I think we should all be able to do to, an extent, right? Moderation as creatives when we're either trying to learn new things or start new projects. But it just gets to a point where we have to recognize there's really nothing that's technically holding our projects back. Sure, I could improve more, or it could be a better time if that even exists. And I could always feel like things are more put together in my life. But none of these things are the obstacles we really think they are. All of these would be great to have and would definitely make a lot of our projects better or just at least easier. But on their own, these things are just ways that we convince ourselves that we're not ready for whatever we're trying to do, which means we'll inevitably keep taking longer to actually do it. It is so hard being a creative with a project. That's not even taking into account, like, me personally just having ADHD and having a constant urge to switch between projects. Even if we're pretty good at managing our comparison of our projects to, those of others that we admire, most of us cannot escape this feeling when we're looking at our own work that is just not up to our standards. And therefore, why share it? Or better yet, why even start it? That's kind of where I was at the end of March with these project ideas that I wanted to either work on or start. The larger projects range from webcomics to animatics, fan fictions, and original fiction. And I know someone's probably ready in the comments to tell me that this is my problem and I should just focus on one thing. But I've tried that and it leads to burnout for me. Not, everybody creates the same way, especially those of us who might be multi-passionate. And I'm very good at scheduling the time to just do everything that I want to do. My problem is that sometimes I don't want to add things to that list because I just feel like I'm not ready. Because sometimes it's not about the skill itself, it's just us. I didn't realize it at the time a month ago, but the idea of waiting to be ready was kind of me just being scared to start, because starting or even getting back into things like just it just means that I might not be as good as I wanted to be at. And that was really the part that bothered me the most. I don't struggle with this with all of my projects. In fact, there are many that I remember just impulsively starting because I gave myself no time to think about it from ideation to creation. And there's a lot of benefit in that. The first one coming to mind being that you have your starting point. Everything you do after that is going to contribute to your growth and development of that skill or project, even if it feels like maybe sometimes you end up sliding a little bit backwards while you're trying to learn stuff. But then, of course, there's the fact that I often end up having to restart, or I struggle a lot more in the beginning to really find my footing in things. You can tell sometimes when I really have like no idea what I was doing. But at the same time, I was making something, which was already more than what I'd been doing before. I realize I tend to have this feeling that I need to be ready a lot more often when I spend almost too much time in the planning phase. A good example of this is my webtoon. Last January, I took a webtoon idea that I've been mulling over since like 2021, 2022, and decided that I would not only make it into an actual webcomic, but also submit it into the Webtoon 2025 contest by that May. So, like within 5 months, I was going to create this whole thing. I pretty much worked every day from March, at the beginning of the submission period, to May when it finally closed, to get 3 chapters made, even though I'd never made a webtoon before, at least not like in a vertical format. I've done like a couple of like 1 page like panel comics, but nothing like to the actual extent of a chapter on a webtoon. Mind you, this little tidbit was exactly what had kept the idea just that, an idea, for 3 years, while I spent that time researching panel composition and watching every single "this is what you should or shouldn't do with your webtoon" video that I could possibly find, and saving link after link of the best brushes and canvas sizes. And yet, when the contest started and I had this arbitrary deadline to try to meet, I still found myself unprepared. I had spent 3 years trying to get ready and I still wasn't. All I could do at that moment was just focus on trying to get those chapters out. And while I waited for the judge's decision, I pretended I was going to make it to the next round and started working on the next 2 chapters so I wouldn't lose that momentum. Well, I didn't make it to the second round, which isn't the lesson about getting ready. I don't think that would have changed anything. There were hundreds of entries, ranging from way more experienced webtoon creators to absolute noobs like me. But after I realized I could slow down, I made the mistake of telling myself again, well, now that I have time, I should use it to prepare myself to make my comic like better going forward when I can actually like regularly post now. Mind you, I was already mostly through the fourth and fifth chapters. I told myself I was just going to make a buffer so I could start posting regularly again in August, which was about 3 months after I had posted the initial 3 chapters. And then it became, well, let me hold off on writing and working ahead, since now that I, can think about the story, I should go back and watch a few videos to make sure my pacing really follows the advice for webtoons. And then I will be ready to start posting again by maybe December. As of posting this video, it is late April 2026. In about 3 weeks, my webtoon will reach its 1 year anniversary. And I am still only at the first 3 chapters. And I am still not ready. I'm not going to beat myself up too hard, tell myself I'm the worst, and spiral into the what could have happened if I had been working on it the whole time. I've worked on a number of other great things, all while balancing a super challenging and demanding full-time job that I'm still not at the liberty to leave yet. So it continues to pull away time that I normally would want to spend working on these projects anyway. But I am a little sad about this because I realized I had made more progress in those few months of actually working on it than I had in the years that I've now spent trying to get ready for it. I think we treat being ready like it's some kind of checkpoint, like it's something you're supposed to reach before you start. But that's just not how it works sometimes. I'm not ready now, but I wasn't ready then either. And I did it. And the rest of the year aside, I'm just closer. I actually have something now to like show for the time that I spent preparing. So if you've been waiting to start something because you don't feel ready yet, I'm sorry. You might not ever be. And it's kind of the whole point of creating, not to work toward being ready, but being a little closer to that finished project, whatever it is that you have in your brain. It's about starting or restarting, in my case. And somewhere along the way, you'll realize you weren't as unready as you thought. And I think that's enough to keep going.